Without love, when mother and father fighting all the time, you have no love to give. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're brought up in Germany, you know, Heil Hitler, and you're brought up to believe the Jews control everything, and then you're brought up to believe, get yourself a dumb Polak to clean out the South, because that Polacks will look at dumbbell. And the Swedes are always called, when I was a kid, a dumb Swede. And the Mexicans were always sleeping in the sun with a big sombrero. All artificiality. All people need the same thing. Clean air, clean water, good food, love, warmth, housing, education. When they don't have that, they become abnormal. So they said to me, well, what are you going to do with the serial killers? What are you going to do with the criminals? If you live near a waterfall with lots of water, nobody comes at night and steals water and sneaks water. It's only when it's scarce. Don't you see? There's no such thing. Say, well, what are you going to do with the dishonest people? You mean when you go to a supermarket and you buy a box of Wheaties that's half full? You know, you don't always get a full box of things when you go to a grocery store. So you see, they're all thieves. Let's say you work for me in a department store, okay? And a woman comes up and says, how much is that lamp? You say, 20 bucks. She says, I'll take 2 of them. But you being an honest person, if you go 4 stores down, you get the same lamp for 5 bucks. If you did that, you wouldn't be working for me very long. And if you had a better way of producing things, a faster way, if you share it with another company, you lose a competitive edge. So he doesn't tell you why he can produce any faster. So all patents deprive people of the latest invention. All secrecy. I don't know if you know this, the aircraft companies have engineers that work for other aircraft companies to see what they're doing. They're called industrial spies. They're all dishonest, they're all corrupt. When war comes, they draft you to serve your country. When you put your life up for that country, they ought to draft all the war industry, the war tanks, the people who make guns, battleships, so no one makes profit out of war. Then it's real. I never heard of a war like that. All wars make millionaires. And let me tell you, aircraft carriers cost billions of dollars, and they're not given to the Army and Navy. They're sold. And soldiers make minimum wage. And you get them out there, and they bomb cities. But if your neighbor bothers you for years, and you shoot him one day, you're a murderer. If you miss by 1 inch, you're not a murderer. If you get in a fight in a bar, and you punch him out, and he falls against concrete, you kill the man. If he falls against a soft mat, you know, nothing the matter. See, the whole system is stupid. Say you steal a watch worth $150. It's your 4th crime. You're put in jail for 4 or 5 years. You know what that costs? To feed a prisoner for 4 or 5 years? 100 watches. Give him a watch. Think about it. Prison doesn't make a person any better. They don't even know how. They're called correctional institutions. Okay. They have no idea what makes a criminal. I'm going to try to tell you. Try what makes a criminal. There used to be a guy named Albert Fish. I'm sure most of you are not old enough to remember. But Albert Fish, they believed he ate 45 children. And the public wanted to burn him alive. They wanted to hang him, tear him to pieces. A psychiatrist named Wertham said, don't kill him. I want to try to understand what made Albert Fish. I like that kind of thinking. What are the conditions that made a person a serial killer? He didn't know, and here's what he found out. When Albert Fish was 7 years old, he was touching his private parts, his genitals. And mother was an old-time Baptist. Says, you're going to burn in hell touching that part of your body. You will burn eternally. And she scared the shit out of that kid. And the kid was shaking. The mother said at 2 in the morning, she came into the bedroom because the kid was screaming. He stuck needles into his genitals because he didn't want to go to hell. Can you understand that? He used to take minority kids into the woods and try to cut their genitals off to save them from hell. What do you think a soldier is? He's a jackass that sees motion pictures, propaganda of Japanese raping, Germans raping, French raping, whatever you didn't like, you showed them doing terrible things, and enlistment would go up fast. All countries lie. The Democrats lie about the Republicans. The Republicans lie about the Democrats. And the Church of God says, if you don't go to the Church of God, you're going straight to hell. No, churches have arguments. The Irish Catholics, the Irish Protestants fight all the time. It says in their Bible, thou shalt not kill. But the Bible is subject to interpretation. When you open the Bible and read it, you say, this is what Jesus meant. And she says, no, he meant that. And she says, you're both wrong. He meant this. That's why you have the Lutheran, the Seventh-day Adventist, the Catholic, because it's subject to interpretation. When you speak at people, at them, it's subject to interpretation. Did you know this? When engineers speak to one another, they talk of tensile strength, compression strength, torsional strength. They understand each other. Mathematics is not subject to interpretation. When you say another country will lend you $4 billion, they don't think it's $2.5 billion. They know exactly what you mean. Mathematics, chemistry, if you write a chemical formula, send it to Japan, it's not subject to interpretation. They can make plastics, so scientific language is not subject to interpretation. When the engineers design a bridge, he doesn't say, I think the beams are that big, another engineer, no, they're that big. No, they both talk that. The engineering language is a blueprint. It gives you all the specifications on it, so it's not subject to interpretation. We must develop a language that's not subject to interpretation. Like my name, Jacques Fresco, doesn't tell you a damn thing about me. J-A-C-Q-U-E doesn't stand for anything. In the future, when you meet a person, their name will tell you what they're interested in, what they do, how they spend their lives. Today, your name tells you nothing. If your name is Euripides Sneed, I don't know anything about you. You guys say, well, let me be numbers? Yes. Because the numbers tell their interests, their books they read, the kind of lifestyle they live. So when you meet a person, you know whether you'll probably get along with them. Today, if a guy's named Jennifer Jones, or a girl, that doesn't tell you anything about them. You understand? The world you live in damages the brain. It makes associations that are false. They say, when it doesn't rain, pray. So the guy says to God, it didn't rain for 6 months, my plants are dying, how about a little rain? And God said, gee, thanks for telling me. Because they tell you in the books that God knows everything. So I said to the priest, why did Jesus insult God? He said, I don't remember Jesus insulting God. Just before they crucified him, he looked up and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And God said, gee, thanks, I didn't know that. If God knows everything, what the hell are you praying for? Think about it. If God knows everything, what are you telling him what to do? The farmer says, it hadn't rained, make the plants grow. And God says, gee, I'll see what I can do. You gotta understand, dig an irrigation ditch when you don't have rain, and bring water from the river over to your plant instead of this. So first says, in your kind of world, what would the place for emotions be? Well, let me tell you what emotions are. If you got to drive a car with your own kids in it, and it slips off an icy road, and it turns over, and you can't open the doors, and the gasoline is spilling out over the hot engine, you're going to get fired. Oh my God, my kids are in the car, they're going to catch fire, and I can't open the door. That's emotion. But when you translate emotion to action, you break the window and take your kids out. That's what we want to do. Translate all emotions into an action pattern. If you don't like war, what do you do to stop it? If you don't like automobile accidents, oh my God, there's so many accidents. What do you recommend? I don't know, then shut up. You understand what I'm saying? What do you recommend? I don't know. I hate people that experiment on animals. what do you do with the new vaccine? On you? Is that all right? Well, no, give it to the monkey or dog. So that's why we experiment. We don't know. So when they build a new type of airplane, and the mathematics says the wings are so strong, they still dive them down and pull out to see if the wings hold up. Now, if you figure the wings can hold up 24 pounds per square foot, they pile sandbags on until the wings break off at 28 pounds, then they know their calculations are right. Now, if I design a bridge and it caves in, I say, it's the will of Allah. No, buddy, your math is off. I can't blame it on Allah or God's will. You understand? If my car turns by itself to the left and people get killed, it's the will of God. Shit. You know, think about it. The Bible is as full of shit as a Christmas turkey. They say God makes it rain to make the plants grow. I would admire God more if he made them grow without the rain. That would be a miracle. So when a minister says to me, God is so intelligent, he makes it rain to make the plants grow. So I said, do you really believe that? He said, yes. I said, why doesn't it rain at sea? I didn't understand that. He said, hold your hand, I would beat the shit out of him. Because I contradicted him. If you really want to know the truth, read your Bible, think about what you're reading. Moses held up a staff and the Red Sea parted, and the Jews walked across. God could have put them on the other side without parting the Red Sea. You understand? Terrible stories. They're all impractical. I never knew a guy that went to Lourdes, where people go for cure. They come in a wheelchair, or they come with broken arms, or a growth here, you know, and they pray. I never knew a guy that went to Lourdes without an arm. And say, God, I need an arm. I don't have one. And God said, okay. I never heard of anybody going to Lourdes and with no legs. So I need legs to walk around. Why do they play for practical things? I need this little scar for healing up. So I've never known of any miracles. But there were two priests used to come to my seminars. And they said, the trouble with you, John, is you think in material terms. You don't know things beyond the physical. We do. I said, have you ever seen anything beyond the physical? They said, many times. I said, please, take me there. Let me see it. So they said, we know a woman at Palm Springs. And this woman has the power of telekinesis. You know what that is? Moving objects without touching. I said, Father, if she can do that, the hell with science. What am I busting my ass in a lab for, trying to find things out? If I can move things by telekinesis, what do I need that for? So I said, ask her if I can come and watch that. She said, of course. But ask her if I can check it out while I'm watching it. She said, yes. So naturally I went. And she put a big vase on the table and went like that, and it moved along the table. So I took my fountain pen, I'm moving it along the table, and I get a buzz. So I peeled off the veneer. She had a bell buzzer upside down with 4 rubber shock mounts. And the table was highly polished, slightly tilted. And I said, Father, this is how it's done. They said, I thought she was a nice woman. Now, she is a nice woman. She's lonely. Her husband died 10 years ago, and when that happens, people don't visit you continuously. They visit you about 1.5 years, and when you're alone, they don't. So when she did that, she had a lot of people over the house. Her life was colorful, and I told that to her. So she called me, we became friends again. But first she said, you son of a bitch, you get out of here. I said, I'm not surrendering. But when you tell kids you have magical powers, they don't work on problems. They hope things get better. You know, things don't get better this way. They get better when you get up off your ass and make them better. That's the trouble with most people. They don't understand these things. They'd rather not. Now they say, well, when you get to heaven, everything's going to be all right. Guy says, I've been working all my life and I've nothing to show for it. And the priest says, when you get up there, everything will be all right. Not according to the Bible. There were a bunch of angels that plotted against God, and another angel called Lucifer. They were kicked out and the gates were slammed. Now, if God is all loving, and God had trouble